real estate, fitness, and no bullshit real life talk.
3, 2, 1, and we are live. All right, because previously we were already talking and my software crashed. So this is the DevNJmg show. This should be episode, I don't even know at this point.
6, 7?
No, we're like 8. This would be 8, I believe. We're a couple ahead. So we do this retroactively. We backlog it. And as usual, John and I were talking prior to the podcast, and we were actually going into details, actually divulging a little bit of personal information. And I had to cut it short because some of this could have definitely been used and actually utilized for the podcast. So I cut it mid-sentence. Here we are, and restarted, revamped, and we're at it again. So John, I am so sorry. Let's go ahead and just tap back into, and let me preface this by saying it's a little bit of a different tone today because of what we were talking about. So John, you were talking about kind of the bullshit on social media, and realistically, there's obviously always a marketing plan. That's the most important. So some of it's going to be bullshit. But as you were saying, that there's a false premise set with social. Is that how you're feeling?
Yeah. I think it's setting people up to really you're judging, yourself, and you're constantly comparing yourself to others. And we all know this. This is nothing like new that we're talking about. But what I would like, viewers to know and understand is, this is a no bullshit podcast. So whatever we're saying on this podcast, like, I truly believe and feel. And whatever you're posting on social media, maybe it's fine in marketing, right? Like, you make yourself look a little bit better, or you make an image fancy or something. That's cool. That's marketing, right? You always need to position your company or your brand or whatever you're doing in a way that is flashy and catches someone's eye. That's a skill. Where I get mad and angry is when people are just straight up fake on social media. And I think that's getting to be more and more. And I actually think people are becoming aware of it, which is good. But I wanted to talk about it today, just, for a little while, because we kind of entered into this podcast in kind of a mood, which we're going to hit on some other things we were talking about on later episodes with inner demons and things like that. But the point I want to make is stop being fucking fake on social media, because everyone's looking at social media and comparing themselves. And I think it's having a really bad negative effect on this world and on people in general. It ain't real what you're seeing on there. It's all highlights. It's all yays. And it's bullshit. So if you are looking at what?
You think there's a balance to that?
Yeah, I think there's a balance to it. I mean, you need social media for business these days, right? Yeah. Like, it's part of your business. If you're not on social media, your business is probably going to be in trouble. Yeah. So there's definitely a balance. I use social media all the time. I market myself on social media all the time. Like, I try to make myself look good on social media all the time, but I'm not fake about the person that I am, right? Like, before the show, we are getting into some inner demons of, myself and Devin, which we won't get into right now unless we want to, but, we have some common problems. And one thing I would bring up is, like, and I could be wrong on this, but I think when I used to work in the fitness industry, I got sick and tired of people looking at me as this fitness dude, got it all together type person, when I knew inside I didn't have it all together. That made me feel fake every day. And because I didn't have it all together, and I still don't have it all together. Like, if you're a real friend of mine that knows who I am, I don't have it all together. Like, if you're my wife sitting at home, I don't have it all together. I got a lot of great things about me, but I don't have it all together. So I don't like the way social media is going. I don't like that my young daughters are watching social media, comparing themselves to others. I already have those conversations with them.
Yeah.
I actually spin negative shit to them about social media because I want them to realize what the real deal is out there.
Yeah.
And I want them to be confident and self-aware and not compare themselves to other people and know what the real stuff is going on in this world right now. And I think The last like probably 12, 24 months, like my personality is starting to change. I'm becoming a different person because of what I've experienced in probably the past 5 years or something. And we'll get into that stuff later. But yeah, social media is bullshit. So stop acting fake on it.
Actually, one of my favorite sayings is comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So for me, there was a period of time, there was 2 years, pushing into 3 years, where I didn't have any social media.
Yeah.
Because I had to actively do a lot of work on myself. And I didn't want to see what other people were doing. And I was more easily tainted by seeing negative things.
Yep.
On social media. Like I haven't watched the news in 3 years.
I don't watch the news either.
I never enjoyed the news to begin with, but it was from the inception of COVID that I had this experience where I was watching the news that came on. And I watched
news is all bullshit too, by the way. You're just a freaking puppet and they're painting a picture for you and you're falling for it. So if you're watching the news, stop watching the news because they're painting the narrative. Yeah. Go do your own research, be your own person, have your own mind. I'm sick of the fucking news.
Yeah, it's super, super toxic. So as I said, I haven't even digested it. And I actively avoid it. So if someone has a news on at their house, I turn my head because I can actually feel my mood and my mind start changing.
Angry.
Yeah, for me, yeah, it can upset me. So is it even worth it, right? Mm-hmm. And it is meant to be manipulative, so it can alter even the best of us.
Yep.
Now, going back to social media, yeah, it has a purpose, and if I'm not in the right state of mind, if I'm not prepared for it, then it's not good. So I've actually talked to quite a few young gentlemen who had deleted their social media,
mm-hmm.
and I commend them for that. So I made the social media because I knew I wanted to start getting back out there and networking. And then for now, at this purpose in my life, it's to develop a niche and for marketing purposes. That's what it is. And so I put things out there and make sure I'm interacting with my people and so on and so forth and trying to grow upon that. And what I found, someone said this to me the other day, just yesterday, actually, I believe, which was quite interesting. Whatever you do on social, because I've gotten commended and appreciated for some of the things I've said.
Yeah.
And then I've also received quite a bit of negative feedback, not to my face or anything, but quite a bit, actually. It was unveiled. And this person told me, they said, people are going to judge you for what you're doing. It's a catch-22 no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And then when, they didn't even say if, they said when you pop off and you start doing great, then everybody's be like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I know it. So it's like you're putting this out there. You're doing it with intention. You're doing it for a purpose. I don't need the validation. There's nothing to do with that. It's validation can be kind of cool sometimes. Don't get me wrong, but that's definitely not the primary purpose of it. Because quite frankly, using social actually feels like a job to me most of the time.
It does. It feels like a wicked job.
Yeah.
Well, because it is, right?
Like, well, it is. I have it on my calendar.
Yeah.
Like it's in my calendar. Like do this day, do this day. So I just find that interesting, right? That's how it'll work too. You know?
Cool. If you notice, I haven't been on social that much. If you've watched me at all,
I haven't either. I've been taking a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff going on, and it's it can be a little bit taxing.
Do you see yourself scrolling social media more when you're in a bad mood to take up your time or distract you? I think a lot of people, I certainly do that. I stopped doing it. I won't do it anymore. I find myself doing it. If I'm in like kind of a bad mood, I'm like, stop, put it down, go.
Helps you kind of tune out.
Right? Yeah, I'll go take a walk. I'll go sit on the porch. I'll clear my head. I'll do whatever I need to do, but I'll stop scrolling social media immediately.
Well, it's such an easy way to back out of the world.
Yeah.
And use it as a vice. So for me, when I'm utilizing social, I just want to make sure I'm interacting with the people that I actually know and or have some relation. It could even be an online relationship. So I actively, I spend half hour to 45 minutes a day, probably making sure I go interact with people and all that. And it's so easy because it'll trick you.
Mm-hmm.
You could be scrolling through Instagram and then all of a sudden it'll switch over to suggested posts. and then you can get down this
Huge
freaking
rabbit
loop.
hole. Yeah.
Because it'll never end.
Yeah.
So you have to actually click view older posts, right? So that way it just goes back to your feed. And if I don't catch that right away, it is addicting. It'll actually just, right? So I have to be on the lookout for it. Click view older posts, because all of a sudden I'm down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Of useless shit. Useless.
Useless.
Serves me no purpose. There's a couple diamonds.
You could call it entertainment, but it's useless, pointless. It's actually damaging, I feel. Like, social media's got so many great things to it.
Yeah.
Like, I think we can all argue that. But there's a lot of negative stuff about it. And you have to learn. It's like anything else. It's like eating junk food, right? If you eat junk food every day, like, it's not good for you. Like, learn how to eat properly, right? And then have your ice cream every once in a while that you love, or whatever, once a week, dude. Same with social media. It's like everything in balance. And if you don't have that balance of social media, like, you're in trouble, and it's going to be addicting. It's going to be damaging. And I don't think there's enough attention around that, and what it's doing to not just kids, but parents too. Because, as much as we as parents want to pretend we have it all together for our children, because our children think we're perfect and we know everything. Like, I just tell my kids, like, stuff that my parents never told me, like, just being honest with them. Well, like, I don't have it all together.
Well, it sounds like it goes back to that topic we were discussing, having a healthy level of vulnerability, which is something I'm actively working on.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to have vulnerability, and, be real with you and be real with yourself. Because me and Devin, before the podcast, we're talking about, attracting your right, person to you. And how are you going to attract your right person unless you're actually vulnerable, right? And show your true personality. So, like we said, we're going to get into some vulnerable stuff later on. This is the No Bullshit podcast, and we're going to keep it that way. Frankly, because that's what I believe in. And I hate fake people. So, not hate, that's a strong word.
Yeah, it is a strong word, John.
I'm sorry.
Dislike.
Not even dislike, I just don't want to be associated with.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you around me if you're fake, if you don't, have any intention of getting to know the real me and giving me the time to do that and giving me the chance to get to know you like that, then don't even bother. Just give me a wave and then keep walking and just be friendly.
Well, it's fascinating too, right? So as I get older, and I'm sure as you get older, more and more filters get applied in weeding people out.
Mm-hmm.
And challenging situations help weed people out.
Yeah.
And sometimes those challenging situations are seeing what's really going on with you. I see these really rich people, like, you'll see these people who are like celebrities or something, and they mean it. There are people that were around them when they had all this money and they had all this going on. And then as that dissipated, the friends dissipated.
Yep.
And that blows my mind. I guess I don't have it in me to take advantage of somebody like that. It's not in me. Like, I couldn't do it.
No, I don't do that. I can't do that either.
I'd be the guy. I was watching this video of this rapper who's out on his A game probably about 7 years ago. And everywhere he went, he was like a clique of like 20 dudes. And he goes into the store and he buys a pair of jeans. And there he looks around, everyone's looking at him because, he's going to buy a pair of jeans these are like $1,100 jeans.
Yeah.
So you got to buy $1,100 jeans for everyone. And I genuinely feel, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not in that situation, but I'd be like, I feel like I genuinely would be the guy to say, I got it. I'm all set.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
I'm with you. Plus, I would ruin them in like a day. Like, I ruin clothes so quick. I don't buy expensive stuff because it's not that I can't take care of things. I just ruin stuff. Like, I try.
Actually,
clothes, shoes.
I don't mind disclosing this. Actually, there was a situation where somebody is actively working with a realtor and they're not under contract or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess the deal's not going to go through. And I could take it because if I really wanted to, I could be like, yeah, work with me. And I know they'd say yes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do that because the other person's been good to them. Why would I do that? Right. Like, I don't want that business.
They've been good to them.
Yeah.
The agent's doing a good job.
Yeah. But me and this person are really, really close.
Yeah.
So like if I said, hey, I could use the extra money right now.
Yep.
Let's go close on something.
Yeah, that's tough. That shows your personality, though.
But and the other agent was worried about it. I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. Now, if they were treating them like shit,
right?
Like genuinely treating them.
We're getting off social media topic, but there's a good tangent. That's what we train our agents to do.
Yeah.
Is evaluate that situation.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to step on agents' toes.
No.
You don't want that reputation. But there's a lot of agents out there that also are not doing their job. Like they're bad at what they do.
Cool.
And they don't deserve to have clients because clients should have a good agent that represents them properly. So, we teach the agents how to ask the right questions, navigate that to make the right decision, whether it's worth pursuing that potential client or not.
Well, the way I see it is like, let's say you and I were in the business of medicine and we were doctors and we knew that somebody we cared about was actively being treated by some, witch doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, hey, bro, no.
Yep.
This isn't happening. Like, you're coming over to me.
Well, the reality is you lose money.
Yeah,
you're going to lose money if you pick the wrong agent. Like, period. End of story.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of situations where I've seen people sell houses with their friends as their agent that lost them money.
Yep.
And they were like, thank you so much. You're my best friend for selling my house. And I love the relationship. And like that agent is your good friend and you trust them 100%. I get that. So there's a reason for you getting them as an agent. But did they make you the most money? No. Was the relationship and the trust more important than that money? Well, that's your decision.
Yeah, that's a possibility too.
Yeah,
especially
that is.
Because then there's the argument too: is like, what if that agent was actually really doing the best they could at that moment in time?
They probably were.
So that
because they're your good friend, they probably did give 120% and are completely loyal and trustworthy and did everything they could. The reality is they still lost your money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not intentional.
Yeah. No, and that's
because of inexperience or whatever else.
Yeah, there's a factor. There's a factor to that, right?
Yeah.
No, but to me, it's more than anything. It's whether somebody has someone's best interest, best interest at heart. That's the most.
I think that's the most important. I agree.
Yeah, because I would rather. So, if my friend is providing a service, even if I had to pay a little bit more money, and I deemed it worth it, I would.
Yeah,
that's how I am. The loyalty is really important to me.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. But that's up to someone to mediate and decide what is best.
Well, I also think there's did they actually lose money? Or, if you took a couple different paths on that transaction, would it have equated to actually losing money or not? You'll never know.
Yeah.
And you could assume all day. So, but yeah. So yeah, I know we're doing a short podcast today. Social media wise, anything else you want to touch on? I would like to start hitting on like, I ask you, hey, anything else you want to touch on? Let me get this.
Yeah, you shoot, man. You shoot.
I think, I don't know. You look at you're very savvy with social media. I feel like social media is getting so much harder to have an impact.
Yeah,
I don't really know what the next steps would be for me personally. I've actually gone back to like hard knocks. And what I mean by that is just grind and hustle and, back to the basics. So you could take it as like, all right, I could go to social media and get clients, or I could go, call a bunch of for sale by owners every day.
Yeah.
Like I'm going back to old school because I feel like, and I'm not saying not to do like Facebook ads and little things to pick up clients and things like that, but like actually building a business around Facebook right now and a brand seems really difficult to do. I'd like your thoughts on what you're thinking. I see it getting so overly convoluted. Everyone's doing the same exact shit. You go through TikTok now, it's ad after ad, and these are the top things to do this. And
that's why I took a different path. That's why I took a niche. That's why I decided to use my niche.
Cool.
Whether people like it or not, I've gotten business from it. because I'm within the bodybuilding community. It's a niche community, and I've gotten business that way. So could I have gotten more business?
So talk on that.
Yeah, I just see everyone kind of does the same thing, and I just wanted to represent my personality a certain way. Not a certain way. I just want to represent my personality, and you can give or take it realistically. And then it's more of, like you said, it's kind of like a long term game. But I can tell you, like, I had produced, this was a bodybuilding orientated reel, and I had invited my friend as a collaborator. It was actually really funny. I did it in a certain way where I actually hit the algorithm just right. I was getting about 20 likes a minute on it. And then within an hour, it just
died.
Stopped.
Yeah.
The momentum was continuing, but it's almost like Instagram just cut it. Right. So there's definitely something. There's something like it pushed up pretty good. It was moving and grooving. And I don't know if it's because the standard is set higher to continue to get pushed to the algorithm or what, but yeah, I almost thought for sure I was going to push over 5 digits. Yeah,
but I'm not talking about, and everything you're talking about.
I think they all is good. I know what you're saying. But
the whole niche thing and you becoming you and attracting people that like you and all that. You're going to get business off of social media. Same thing I do. Same thing everyone does, right? Yeah. We're going to get the onesie twosies business off of our brand, developing us, attracting people, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's call that billboard for argument's sake. Billboard advertising on social, right? I'm talking about the legit, like building a business and actually making a living on social media like people are trying to do right now. I feel like there's millions of people on social media and they're trying to build like a 6-figure business or 6 figures to live or an actual $1 million business off of social media. And if you were to rewind 2 years ago, that was completely doable. And easy for people like that to do. Fast forward to today, everyone's trying to do it right now. They're all doing the same thing. I personally am getting sick of seeing the same type of advertising and funnels and this and that. And it's getting played out. And I think there's too much in there now. And you can make the argument, well, it's the whole world. So the pool's bigger, right? To sell things and do things. But even that argument, I think, is getting slim because of the amount of people that are trying to do it, right? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I could be totally wrong, too.
I think that's part of it. I think that it's just like anything within this world, economic-wise, there becomes a monopoly on everything.
Right.
So not only
this stuff's going to get played out, now the new stuff's going to come in, get on the new stuff early.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how I look at it. And the people that are up top, right? Like, so for me, who I follow on social are people that I know personally, have developed a relationship online with, or somebody who's already on top, because I'm attracted to that.
On top meaning like you follow and watch what they're doing, and they entertain you.
Yeah, they've already made a name.
Yeah,
I didn't follow them from the bottom.
If you follow people for a long enough time, do you get bored with them?
Depends on the person.
Really?
Depends on the
person.
When's
the longest you followed someone? Like ballpark.
Mine is going to be purely bodybuilding related. And that's because it's just
so it's a little different of an example.
Yeah, like that's the longest I'll follow somebody.
Well, you're following them because you want to learn from them what they're doing. It's educational, right?
Not so much. No, it's just like the lifestyle, and then they're very I feel like the transparency. I almost feel like I'm friends with them. Even though I've never met them.
So it's just real life type of
it's like
personality stuff.
Like one of the guys on a podcast I've listened to religiously. I've never missed an episode for 3 years.
Oh wow.
One of the guys, he passed away, he died. And it was the first time a celebrity, right? And you can use that sparingly because it depends what you deem as a celebrity. He's a celebrity to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had a relationship with him. Felt like it was a friend. Because of the podcast, the transparency, and just like his humor and all that. He wasn't trying to be someone who's not. So it's like I was following John.
Yep. See, I people watch and I dig in. Like I'm very intuitive. Like I can read personalities. Like I people watch constantly. I study facial expressions, what they're saying, their demeanors.
Yeah.
How like their tone change, like everything.
Yeah.
Like I always, it's funny because my wife's not like that at all. And I'll be like in an airport, like walking through it, and I notice everything and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, so the complete opposite. I'll be like, do you see that person right there? What they just did? She'll be like, what? I'm like, you didn't see that? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, so she's focused on whatever she's doing, or she just doesn't care enough.
That's why you work in sales.
That's why I'm in sales.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just different personalities.
Yeah.
So I love studying that stuff. It's actually very, it's amazing. It's the word I'm looking for here. Fill in the blank. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's just a better word than interesting. Intriguing.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Fascinating.
There you go.
It's fascinating to me to study that kind of stuff.
Do you enjoy psychology?
No,
Yeah.
not in school. I didn't.
No, I don't know.
Well, I love the psychology of, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying in a context.
I went right to textbook and I was like, I got like a D or an F in psychology. I think like I did terrible in it.
No, I like the whole psychology and then the philosophical aspect of psychology.
Yeah.
That's what I find fascinating.
Yeah.
That's why my conversations just naturally flow that way. Yeah, I always end up going there just because it's something that I enjoy talking about.
Well, that's why we're doing this podcast, I think, too, because we like to jive off of each other and and what we're thinking in our brains and everything. Yeah. Like the older I get, the more I love just sitting down with random people and having conversations.
Yeah.
If they're not fake. I don't like fake people.
So when you say fake, because we started as what someone's displaying, right? Because it's natural. I'd say for most people.
By the way, I know you're fake like the first 10 seconds I meet you.
Yeah.
Like I can size you up like that.
Well, for me, it's the eyes and the tone of the voice. So something about the eyes, I swear the eyes haven't led me wrong. There's something in there.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm going to touch on, I don't want to get too deeply philosophical, but looking into someone's eyes and then watching certain movements and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not actively looking at it, trying to scope something out, because I've noticed that can actually be wrong for me to start making judgments. Instead, I'm going based off my intuition. Because if I listen to my intuition versus I'm trying to psychoanalyze someone.
But you can make eye contact with somebody and they can be like they say when you break eye contact, right? Like that's not a good sign. Like I know people who are fake and they don't break eye contact.
Yeah, no, I don't know. What I mean? I'm not talking about.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'm not talking breaking of the eye contact.
Yeah.
See, that's the psychoanalysis. Some of the nicest people I know don't hold eye contact. They just have anxiety.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Yeah. When I was younger, I had trouble with eye contact. It's something I actively had to work on.
I'm saying a lot of fake people.
Yeah, they'll hold eye contact because they're manipulative.
Yeah,
so they know exactly what
they know. You're like I'm way ahead of you, bro.
Yeah, no, it's the. I said this. I have no textbook. I have no way to explain this. So I said it's intuition based. So it's almost like looking deeper within the eyes, and then it's movement. So I'm not saying breaking eye contact.
Yep.
It's the movements and dude, I swear the most evil people I know, and evil is a strong word. Maybe they're not evil. They have evil tendencies. When I first moment I met them, I looked in their eyes and I'm like, this is not a good person. And they've proven me right.
Yep. Well, it's all about your gut. And that I think that circles back to like this is a great time to kind of maybe chop the podcast and end it, because it goes back to social media and bullshit. And the best marketers, salespeople, I'm not saying all, are persuasive, manipulative. They know how to tie into emotions and dig that out of you. They know the psychology of people. They not only were probably born with that natural ability, but they probably honed. Thank you.
You got it. I'm your dictionary today.
They honed that, right? And they probably studied it to an extent and probably are still studying it. So when I say social media is bullshit, it is bullshit. Like there's no magic pill or magic course. I think we've already touched on this. And these people are out there pulling on your emotions, positioning things in certain ways. And they're good at marketing and they're good at sales. And you can see them on the internet with like, you know, all the reels that they do and all this stuff that they talk about. And if you listen to these people long enough, they slip up. But they're really, really sharp.
Yeah.
Like really, really sharp.
Yeah.
Like I've been to presentations of, you know, they try to sell those $50,000, $100,000 courses. Dude, you want to see manipulation at its finest and persuasion that you're almost like brainwashed? Go to like something to buy a course that they want to sell you that's a high price point. They have a strategic way of and a process and how they work you all the way down the funnel from online to $100 to sit down and pay $500 to, oh, here's our conference and we're going to sell you a $50,000 to $100,000 ticket. And if they get you to that $150,000, $100,000 ticket, that weekend that you go to, 3 days, right, where you learn a bunch of stuff. I'm not saying you don't learn, right? It is set up that everything is perfectly positioned, the presentation, the persuasion, the speaking, everything, right? That's what I'm talking about. And I just think people should be aware of it because not everyone's like that. Like not everyone, like if you're trying to persuade, like I've been struggling lately with the whole positive mindset of, and let me explain what I mean by this. Limiting beliefs, positive mindset, right? Anybody can be anything. No, they can't.
I know,
they fucking can't.
It's the harsh truth.
It's the harsh truth. You can't. Certain people are going to get to where they are because their mind, that's who they are. That's the way their mind works. Not everyone can just change their mind and be somebody else.
Well, just like we have physical limitations, we also have mental limitations.
Exactly.
But I will say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. Who I am today compared to who I was 5 years ago is vastly.
You can improve.
Yeah, like I've had, but I'm not saying, okay. I'm not saying anyone can go be Elon Musk. Okay?
Exactly.
Let me make that clear.
Yeah.
However, I mean, people always had told me since I was young that I was capable of a lot. Don't get me wrong. But I have had absolutely psychological changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real.
We all have.
Like vastly different psychological changes. But there's always going to be a cap. I don't necessarily want to know what that cap is because then it is going to create. I feel like, right? Like I feel like it is okay to shoot for the stars, but having level expectations.
Yeah, and I don't just mean like you can't be. I do believe you could be anything you want to be to a certain extent, right? Yeah. If you want to be successful at something, put your grind in, do it, commit. I'm not saying that. It's going to take a sacrifice that I don't know a lot of people have, I think is what it really comes down to. Like, if you're going to want to be something extraordinary, there's going to be things you leave behind because of it. Like, so you have to really look in the mirror and be like, all right, first of all, is my mind set for this? Like, I can change my mind. It goes back to what I was saying before. The 1%'s the 1% for a reason. They have a certain mindset. And they didn't just wake up one day and do some personal development for a week and like get there. Like, and I believe in personal development 100%. I've changed a ton through personal development through the years. So I'm not saying you can't step up your game. I'm saying that there's limitations to people's minds and the way that they are and where they start, their intelligence, a lot of different things, right?
IQ can't be changed.
Right. And the commitment and what you're giving up in order to get somewhere you want to be is another factor.
Well, remember what we talked about last week is somebody's ability to tolerate stress.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when you're saying making a sacrifice, well, not everyone's going to be able to psychologically make a sacrifice to achieve something because they're incapable of it.
Yeah.
Like there are sacrifices I'm not willing to make
mm-hmm.
because I know that I wouldn't be mentally well. I've played on both spectrums, and I wouldn't be mentally well. So, am I an imbalanced person naturally? Yeah, I am. So if I do something a lot more than somebody else. However, there still is some level of balance. Like if I was, perfect example, I think Kobe Bryant, I'm pretty sure he practiced like 12, 13 hours a day. Like I don't quote me on that, but he was one of those people who wasn't as physically gifted as Michael Jordan or LeBron James, but he made up for it in his dedication to his practice.
There's a reason why a ton of rich people get divorced or do drugs or drink a lot or whatever, you name it.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it. It's because they have given up other things. Like, that's the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone's like, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. It's like, I don't know, man. The older I get, the less money I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's things you give up to get to the places that everyone says is so cool.
Well, if you put this in perspective, let's say you got someone who's has $1 billion net worth. That's enough money for anybody. But these people who have $1 billion net worth, they still want more because there's an addiction to it in itself.
Yeah. And don't tell me they have a fucking normal life, dude.
It's impossible.
Like, first of all, I could never make $1 billion. Tell me I have a limited mindset. Fine. I can't be a billionaire. My mind will not let me be a billionaire right now. I just couldn't do it. And if I could do it, there's no way I would have what I have at home or with friends or family. Like, don't give me that shit.
And at that point, is it worth it?
Is it worth it? What have you given up? Because you've given up something.
Yeah, you have
and either that $1 billion is more worth it than that thing you've given up. And that's cool. Like, if you're the type of person that you're like, I want $1 billion more than I want these 5 other things in my life, then that was your decision. And it was a good decision because you truly wanted that $1 billion and it worked out for you. But if you're, miserable with that $1 billion because you left other things behind and now you look back and you're like, man, that was the wrong decision. Thought I wanted that. So you really gotta figure out what you want, I think, is what it comes down to.
It comes with time too. Yeah. I'm still figuring out what the hell I want. I have an idea.
We all are.
I have an idea of what I want to pull in per year in the future. And I think it's unreasonable to the average person, but it's reasonable to me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's doable. And then I feel like I could achieve balance through, like, what is balance, right? Because balance is subjective. But
I've been hearing a lot about balance lately.
Yeah, I think it gets overused a lot.
Gets wicked overused.
Like balance. Well, what the hell is balance? Because balance, once again, going back to Kobe Bryant, was practicing 12 or 13 hours a day.
Yeah.
Right? However long he practiced. Please don't quote me on that, but he practiced a lot.
Practiced a lot.
Yeah, he was a shit, and I admire that dedication.
Well, the people that like harp on that. Balance, there ain't no freaking balance. You gotta be a machine. You get up, you work 13 hours a day, you want it, you do the things you don't want to do. This is how you do it. Like, you hear that a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, no, because if you do that, it's what I'm talking about before. You're missing other stuff. If your balance means I'm going full throttle in that direction, right? You don't have balance. You're going full throttle in one direction and you're balls to the wall doing everything you need to do to get to that direction. You've lost something while you were going there.
Well, also, there's a factor of this too. So this is one of the things I was able to pull from my experience in the gym is, all right, take someone who's genetically gifted in the sense like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Ronnie Coleman. They train 6 days a week. And I know Arnold, I believe he trained twice a day.
I think he did twice. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Last week, and I'm still recovering from this, my central nervous system, which you wouldn't know unless you know, I'm in an overtrained state still because I train 6 days on, only once per day.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to do with me being a bitch. My body physically cannot take that stress. Mm-hmm. And I'm still feeling the effects from it. I'm still trying to get back to normal. So I'm like, I'll throw in an extra day. I just want to see what happens. And then between personal, business, and then the stress of training and not taking that additional rest day, completely altered me. Right. So that's like a real deal. So someone can't look me in the eye and be like, oh, well, you know, just suck it up. No, I'm physically like beginning to feel ill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I actually regress in progress. So my first year and a half of training in the gym, I did not make the progress I should have due to lack of rest, due to lack of rest days, and overtraining.
Yep.
And
overtraining's a thing.
Well, and people throw it around too much now because they just don't want to train hard. But if you're actually in there training hard,
You know, it's a thing.
yeah, like you'll know when it happens.
Yep.
You know, you will know. It's a real thing.
Yep.
Like I would actually wake up my first year and a half of training because I was making so many life changes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, talk about what you're gonna talk about, like the central nervous system, how you feel. Like we were gonna end this podcast 30 minutes ago, but we're rolling on. Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah. So like right now, because I didn't dig myself into that big of a hole. I'm psychologically not able to tolerate stress the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel very, very lethargic. But that first year and a half when I was just pushing through because I made so many life changes, you know, I went from partying all the time to dedicating my time and allocating my energy into other things. And that included the training. I would legitimately go to the gym. I would come home. I'd fall asleep. Let's say it's a weekend. I'd go to the gym. I'd come home and fall asleep. And I'd wake up and my whole vision would be shaking and my heart would be going probably 140 beats per minute. And I would just like everything was.
Is that like rhabdo?
I probably was on the
whatever
verge
that
of
is.
I was probably on the verge of having rhabdo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just never got it.
Yeah.
If I did get it, it was very minor.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that for a year and a half, dude. And then I was wondering why I wasn't making any gains. Because my body genetically limited me from being able to tolerate that stress.
Yep.
That's not psychological. That's nothing. That's not my mind limiting me. That is my genetic capabilities limiting me. And I found that out. And then when I started properly prioritizing, you know, if I went in and I trained like your average person and just kind of like was athletic, I'd probably be fine. But I don't train like that. So I made leaps and bounds in progress when I started actively focusing on rest and recovery.
Yep.
So what is balance? Well, that's going to be based on some factors that you have control over and some factors that you don't. That's my point. That taught me so much about myself.
Nice. All right. Well, let's wrap that up today. I think we hit on all three of them: the real estate, the fitness, and the no bullshit. I think today. So
yeah, baby.
And
yes,
we had that was cool. We had no agenda.
Yeah.
We just rolled into that one without even any bullets, man.
Yeah, I liked it. Okay.
So, hey, we're looking for some guests. Obviously, we want some people that kind of get us, think, you know, we can talk and have a good conversation like me and Devin just kind of roll with it. So, if you guys know anybody that, or you yourself are interested in jumping on a podcast and you have some fitness or, what else we talk about? Real estate or anything, you know, kind of related to that kind of stuff, motivational, real life. You know, we want to kind of keep it in this realm. We don't know exactly where we're heading yet with this podcast, but Devin, you want to say anything on that?
Well, yeah, because I've had a lot of people reach out to me. So if I haven't, I've gotten back to you on it, obviously. But as far as bringing you on, I don't want you to take it personal. It's just a matter of we're trying to keep it within the realm.
Yeah.
So we're figuring this out as we go. Realistically. So, I mean, I have a few people that I think we could fit into this, and it's just if it gets too far off topic, it doesn't really work, right? Like if someone wants to come in here and start talking about art and their paintings, I mean, how do you fit that into this? So it's not personal. If I had a personal podcast and it was just everything and anything like the Joe Rogan podcast, hell yeah, we'd have you on. But yeah, we're trying to fit within a certain criteria.
Yeah, and that might branch out eventually, but right now we're keeping it tight. So
yeah, this is something that's evolving, and
tell us content-wise too what you're looking for. You know, if you're a certain person been watching the show and you want to hear a topic, throw it out there. We'll bring it on and we'll talk about it. So you know, in the realm of real estate, fitness, and no bullshit kind of life talk motivation. Absolutely. Stay real.
44 minutes, 22 seconds, and we are out. And I'm still going to try to recover from being overloaded with life, business, and training stress. Goodbye, everyone.
Deep breaths.
Love you. Bye.